That website needs a lot of, well, they just redid it, it's still horrible. It's still impossible to find stuff.
Oh, did you put in just E-code?
Well, yeah, eco.
Yeah, that's what I put in, that's how I found it.
It's whatever the second, of the three things at the top, it's the second one, you put that and it's good, but I don't remember what it says. I think one says government, and that's the one I think it should be under, but it's not, it's under whatever. The other one is, whatever my thought process is, it's not where it
And
should
that's
be.
what our thought process, I feel like regular people wouldn't even be like, I don't know where it goes.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
just be easy.
I know I click on the wrong one every single time, and I do it all the time.
We can work it
Yeah.
out.
We just need to do ours, ours should be.
Or some will have websites, but don't put all the ordinance.
Oh, we should try Adjournment, because they don't have any, you have to buy it.
Word in church.
Yeah, because I have to buy it, I have to buy it. It was ours, and you know what, when I got it, it looked like it was tiny, I mean, it looked like it was
Old. That is, I think 2007.
It
That's what
looks-
they
it
did
looks
on the
less-
binders.
I thought theirs was online, but I couldn't.
Unless they just put it online. Because my friend was trying to do it last week, she was in my farm, and I was trying to look up the ordinance for it, so I was what she was doing. And I was trying to get it started.
Well, that would be zoning, that's how, that would be.
Yeah, but it's still, it's not on
No,
there.
I mean, it's, just, you know, one, you would get one answer. and
Well, here's the
it's
problem.
different.
She called them, and from 5 minutes to get back to her, then he didn't. And I'm like, you know what, you submit an application, and then,
We're doing the zoning. Yeah.
yeah, well, it took her
That's even better.
a long time.
Still be in the car. I literally, there's my keys. I just know that they've been in my bag because my car is started. I haven't been keys.
Is this a kennel that's already been used?
I think it just got a license from the state this year.
Did the township find this, and this is why they're coming in for this, or is this something?
I don't know. I don't necessarily remember getting a complaint about it, but I know that Christie patrols,
Well, Chrissy usually was.
she patrols the kennel.
So I'm just wondering if this is one that had a license but did not, because it's not in ag, it's not used by right.
Hang on, we can go, I've got a kid home by himself, so.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right here on just for using, it's very fine.
Oh, I'm replying to your email. So maybe they sent an email and said something.
Yeah, somebody probably found it on the website. License plate.
Which one
Have Troy hit his, this is the one on,
Isn't here?
Yeah.
yeah. So
Susan-
is it red or blue now?
It's blue now.
Susan's is blue,
Mine's blue.
mine's nothing. We'll just have to talk loud.
Okay.
All right, so, sorry, we're about a minute late. Jen, need to find her phone, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the Planning Commission meeting, July 25th, 2024. Our first action item is to approve the minutes from the June 27th meeting, which were included in the packets, so if there are no corrections, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second recommending approval of the minutes of June 27th, 2024. We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes for June 27, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Open forum, anyone that is requested or would like to speak about anything that's on the agenda? Either side. And I assume you're Mr. King?
Yeah,
Okay. We have no subdivision land development applications. The item in front of us this evening is a zoning hearing board conditional use. Well, it's a zoning hearing board application or request. And, yeah, why don't you?
Sure. We have a zoning variance application to allow a kennel at 641 Compass Road. It is zoned mixed-use residential. Kennels are not a permitted use in the mixed-use residential district. So Mr. King is requesting a use variance to have the kennel on his 2-acre property. And he's also requesting a variance from the lot area and the lot setbacks. The ordinance contains a provision, while kennels aren't allowed in MUR, they have a general provision that when they're allowed, in the zoning district, if it abuts a primarily residential zoning district, which MUR is, it has a minimum 5-acre lot area and 150-foot setback from all property lines. So this property is surrounded by MUR on all 3 sides. There's residences on the 2 sides, and then there's Honeybrook Elementary abuts the rear. So he's got a diagram here showing his setbacks. The one is almost 150 feet from the one side. I think the other side is about 40-something. 45 for the one side, 149 and a half from the other side, and then plus or minus 100 from the school. So Mr. King is here. If you have any questions about his operation or his requests, you can feel free to ask him, or if you have any questions for me.
Is this a kennel that's already in use, or?
it is, yes, on a small scale, yeah.
Is this the first year that you obtained the state license for a kennel?
It is, yes.
Okay.
On this property, I had a state license where I lived before. Now this will be the first year I applied for this property.
None of your neighbors have an issue with what you're doing?
No,
And I believe I saw on the state license, it was a K2 kennel for a total of
Yes.
50 to 100
yes.
dogs. About how many do you keep there, like at one time?
How many adults?
Yeah, what's the most that you generally would
I
have?
probably wouldn't go over 6 or 7 right now. I'm at 2 because of what's going on. And if I can't move forward with having a kennel, then I'm just gonna have to cease. So I only have 2 adults now, and I have a couple puppies there.
If you guys don't know, the classifications that the state does, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the total of like a 51 to 100 classification he's in, that's the total number of dogs that would be, raised, sold, transferred, different things throughout the course of the year. Is that how it works?
Actually, a correction there, I would only be allowed to transfer 59 or 60 puppies or dogs a year. And then your 51 to 100 allows you, say you have a stud or something, you have females in and out, other people's females. That allows you to get up to 100 dogs, not at one time on your property, but throughout the year. But I'm only allowed to sell 59 puppies, I think it is, or 60, it's 59 or 60.
Isn't it every, it's a certain number, it's considered a commercial kennel? There's two different classifications of kennels with the state.
Yes, and I'm not fully sure of the distinction. I know that on the licenses, they put a CK when it's a commercial kennel. We do have different regulations for commercial kennels in our ordinance in terms of lot size and things like this, but his is classified on the state website as a straight K.
Jen, what would be the number of dogs you can have on the property at one time?
Right. I don't think our ordinance limits. If you have approval to have a kennel, then I don't believe that there is a specific limit. I think the limit for a normal resident who does not have a kennel, I think the threshold is 5. If you have more than 5, then it's defined as you have a kennel. In according with the zoning.
What breeds are
It's in the
these?
definition.
I have many dachshunds at this point. Really many dachshunds, yes.
Is that what your plan on Spanish, maybe?
I'll probably get some corgis. I had some corgis before, and like I said, I cut down.
It's not permitted in the,
So,
that's why they didn't put it in.
So I don't know if you're adjacent to the district.
I mean, not to speak with one of them.
Right. Because if somebody's, it's in the, yeah, there is no. Ours doesn't, it gives you a minimum that then becomes a kennel by our ordinances, but the overall kind of number and the operation of the kennels generally relies on the state inspections.
The question is, what's the maximum number of dogs you could have at one time on the property?
the state doesn't really clarify on that, and you guys were just discussing that.
Yeah, that's what the question is.
Yeah, obviously, me as a breeder, I'm expecting puppies throughout the year, so I'm not gonna get 20 females because I'd get in trouble. I have too many puppies. I'm not sure I don't think the state even clarifies.
They do. They have two classifications of kennels.
Right.
And I believe it's like 50 or 60 because it becomes a commercial kennel.
Yeah. If you transfer, like, give puppy away or sell it, or an adult, if you transfer more than 60, then you're considered commercial. Then you're in a whole nother.
But they also have regulations on how many you can have at one time.
And that 1,560, believe that's a year, for a period of a year?
That 59 or 60 is what you're allowed to transfer.
In a year.
Yeah, and say I would have 3 females that I would have from 1 year to the next, that would not be included in that. It's only what you transfer, what you whelp on your property and then sell or move.
How long have you been operating a kennel?
With the one at home where you lived before, I would be about 5 or 6 years, but on this property, we're only there now about 2.5 years.
Okay. Do you ever have trouble getting rid of puppies, or?
Not really, no. I mean, every now and then. Right now, it's a little slower, but they still go.
Okay. Do you just sell them on your own, or do you use like a website or anything?
Yeah, we use websites, Greenfield Puppies,
That's
nice.
nice.
Anybody else have any questions about his operation? What type of existing, like, buffering or trees or anything do you have along the property line that would like muffle noise or?
There is a tall tree line, and then there's like vines, and it's fairly solid, especially through the summer, through the winter, not as much, but.
Okay.
And that was plantings, that wasn't fencing. That was plantings, buffer you were referring to, not solid fence,
It's not solid.
not solid fence.
There's a provision in the ordinance, that they should have screening against noise and visibility, from adjoining residential properties or uses. So if there is an aerial of his property also, so if there is any vegetation that you thought may be necessary to buffer that, that could be a condition, if variances were granted by the zoning hearing board.
Any questions? So, the options are either we recommend supporting, we recommend not supporting, or we take no position and leave it up to the zoning hearing board. So what I'm looking for is if somebody wants to make a motion to any of the three, support, not support, no position.
I'll make a recommendation that we support. I'll second
Any questions or comments on the motion before we take a vote on it?
I don't know, I remember when we did this kennel ordinance, when we met about it. I mean, the reason we changed things was because we didn't want, there were people that were complaining that were close to residential areas, which is why we changed. We helped, but we also, made it where they should be. In ag properties or, places where there's a lot of space, I mean, 59 dogs is a lot of dogs. Even if you only have 20 close to a residential area, that's a lot of noise. I mean, my neighbor down the street at my own house had a kennel. I mean, they're way down the road and hear the noise. And it didn't bother me, but, it may bother some people.
Have you spoke with your neighbors?
I have not, and I was, when somebody asked me if my neighbors didn't have a problem, and then I should have maybe thought about that a little bit. I didn't actively get any complaints, but I did not speak with my neighbors about having a kennel. But we are on good terms with all the neighbors as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, the one neighbor is Kearns, which there's nothing there.
Schools?
The school,
The
the
library.
library. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I mean,
Cranes
Cranes
across
is,
the
yeah,
street.
there's 5 people.
Where is the closest house to your residence, to your dog kennel? How far would you say it is?
It's probably,
Right there.
I don't know, 400 or 500 feet.
To the nearest residence?
But you only have 2 dogs right now. If you were to increase that, they may have a problem if you had a lot more.
But I'm thinking,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just thinking, because you're not there yet, but what it could be, could potentially be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to take into consideration the people living next to you.
Let me throw this out there. With your motion, your second, would you be willing to recommend support if he would provide a letter from the neighbors that they have no objections to it? I mean, if they have objections to it, they're most likely going to show up at the zoning hearing. But,
That's probably a good idea.
you know, if the neighbors don't have an issue with it,
I don't think we should be supporting something without having neighbors even know something like this, because this could be potentially a problem down the road. I mean, think of all the issues we had when we were going through the kennel ordinance. I just don't wanna, like, be saying, yeah, it's good, like,
Well, the problem is if you allow it here, let's just say that the next person, you know, you're setting a precedent of we allow kennels in residential areas.
so I understand this correctly, it doesn't, our ordinance does not set the maximum number of dogs that he could have on the property. The state license only sets the maximum number that can be transferred. So essentially, you could have 59 dogs on your property, and
and they did that because they didn't want our regulations not complying with the state regulations. That's why the kennel ordinance got changed in the first place, because there was fencing issues and there was buffering issues, and so they wanted to align it more with what the state had, because
Right, I think there was some conflict of interest between ours and
that's
theirs.
why
And
there's
they
no
needed
specific number.
a conditional use, I think, at the time, to have a kennel. So
Right.
they made our regulations more or less say, you have to have a state license, here's our setbacks, and then let all the care of the dogs and all those items up to the state inspection process.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that's
state's
the
more worried
process.
about the kennel itself, the township needs to be worried about the zoning and the neighbors and all
Right,
that. you know?
Right, and that's what we have the setbacks in.
Right.
So that's kind of the issue that's at hand is, it's in a residential area, it's not the lot size that's required when it's adjacent to a residential area, and it's not a lot size, setbacks when it's adjacent to a residential area beyond also the use isn't allowed in there anymore, so it's kind of three variance requests.
when would the zoning, has the zoning hearing been set? It's going to be based on July 1st, correct?
It'll, yeah, it'll be,
No,
it
that's
has to
when,
be
that's
held
when the
within,
application is complete.
it has to be held within 60 days of July 1st.
So we have another planning commission meeting.
Yeah, but we don't have another board meeting. So they would have to have the hearing by September 1st, plus or minus a day or two.
Plus they have to, that would give them not enough time to send out notifications and stuff, so.
Right, so, yeah, this has to go on the next board agenda, and then, they'll set the, I'm not sure if the zoning hearing date was set yet, I haven't seen the notice, but.
Here's my opinion. We don't know if the neighbors have an issue with it. for me, if the neighbors don't have an issue with it, that maybe makes it a little bit, at least makes me a little bit more agreeable to want to go with it, but, I personally don't think that.
So, what you can do right now is you
But
have
there's a motion and a
a
second out
motion
there.
and a second for support, so we
So
can
we have
take a
to vote
vote
on it.
on that. And then if that doesn't pass, there can be another motion for a different position on it. And, or if somebody wanted to modify that support position with any caveats, you could do that before taking a vote. So,
Well, why don't we just take the position on this and hearing board?
We have a
well,
motion and a second on the
we
floor,
have
so
to
we
act
got
on
to
the one
vote
that's
on
on here first.
it. So proceed to a vote. A motion and a second to support the request for zoning relief. You probably got to do a roll call vote.
Yeah, please.
Troy,
Yes.
Levi, Susan?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, so that motion did not pass. So if somebody would like to make a motion for a different position, there's a support and it pass, there's no position or against.
So we'll entertain another motion.
I mean, we're not having residents here to state what they think. I don't think we should, especially something like this and knowing like all the issues that there's been in the past, like, I just feel like we should take a no position or like, does anything according to the decision.
Are you
So
putting
you're
that
making
in
a
the
motion, making a motion to take no position. I need a second.
I'll second.
So a motion and a second, any questions or comments?
All right, so this is to take a position of no
No
position.
position.
All right, then we roll call vote.
Yeah, I won't start with Troy this time. We'll start at this end of the table. I would support that, so that'll be a yes. Melissa, Aaron,
Yes.
Susan?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so the planning commission took a position of no position, which kind of lends to leave it up to the zoning hearing board based upon the testimony and, you know, if there's any feedback from the neighbors or things like that. This will go to the Board of Supervisors agenda. I forget the date, it's the second Wednesday in August at 7 p.m. So they'll discuss it, the board also takes a position.
Okay.
And then we write a letter informing the zoning hearing board what position the planning commission and board of supervisors took. So you would likely attend that supervisors hearing if they have any questions, and then you should be getting notification from the zoning hearing board solicitor of the official date
Okay.
set for your hearing. Okay?
Okay, good.
Yeah. I would say in the meantime, if you, kind of what they said, mentioned about neighbor support, if you do speak to any of your neighbors, particularly the ones that, you know, are in closest proximity, if they can't go to the hearing, they'll all get notifications, the people
Right.
within, I think it's 500 feet. If they can't go to the hearing, but they are basically supportive of it, you may want them to write a letter,
Okay.
and then you could take that with you to the hearing, and turn that in. You know, so that might be like a proactive, I guess is the word,
Yeah.
proactive thing that you could do, to talk to them, so.
So you were talking about getting a letter from the neighbors, so is it mandatory to go around to all the neighbors and?
No, it's not mandatory,
Okay.
it was just kind of a
It's just a
recommendation
suggestion.
that if you had letters of support, it may help your case
Right.
before the zoning hearing board. You know, like what was expressed here is concerns about allowing something or recommending something that would have the potential to impact, you know, neighbors in close proximity.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of their thing, so it was just a recommendation, you know, for you, but it's not mandatory that you do that.
Yeah.
But you might want to talk to them before they get notified with a letter, because you have to notify them.
Right.
Yeah, the township will send them all
Either-
letters advising
Either
them.
me or they'll get a notification either way.
Yes,
So,
yep,
Yeah, you might want
Sometimes it's nice to know, but it's coming before you get it, though.
right, yeah.
to be a little proactive and get out in front of the letter.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
all right.
Okay?
I guess you're done with this subject?
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So,
Under other business, this is a comp plan update. The fall round of the partnership, which is the funding, opens August the 5th, and I assume we'll be in the mix applying for that. Okay. Open forum on any other matter? Jerry, you have nothing? Sal? Below adjournments or upcoming meetings. If there's nothing else for the good of the planning commission, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion, be second. All in favor? Aye.
So we do have agenda items for next month. I know a zoning variance application came in to allow a short-term rental at an Airbnb on a property. Land development plan for BTL, it's 3 initials, up off of Twin Valley Road to do like a storage parking lot, for their trucks. It's zone industrial, I think, up there. Their land development plan just came in, I haven't opened it yet. And then I know there's a sketch plan coming in for something that they requested, a formal zoning review, I think some type of equipment rental, but I don't know where that is, I just saw that email come in this afternoon. So that's what I know of. That's come in.
There'll probably be something coming regarding me next time too, so it'd be nice
Okay.
to. What I want is, what we're done is, farm Melvin King right beside my driveway. And I can buy an acre off his farm and put it in my land.
Okay.
My driveway is right smack on, it's on the property line. And
Right.
so he wants to graze cattle in the field there, so he wants to put a fence up. So literally the fence is like right against my drive, and then I asked him, man, I said, is there any chance I could buy a little land? Because,
Yeah.
and I kind of pity if you put a fence there, if you don't buy an acre outside of an acre, so that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I probably won't be able to get in, I'll be.
Do you have a plan already, though?
It's, I met Sarah last night, he said he's gonna try to have you,
Oh, yeah, Chris Phillips.
Chris, please let us know.
Yeah, I'll talk to Chris, because I don't know that he knows we've changed our submission deadlines when we did those saldo amendments. Last year went to 30 days before, so it'll probably be on September's agenda.
That's not bad.
For that, but really if he gets it in sooner, I'll send him an email. If he gets it in sooner, I can probably do a review, and then if there's any corrections, he could probably make them ahead of the September meeting, so.
It's not.
I'll keep an eye for it.
It's simple.
Yeah, those are usually fairly straightforward.